You ever get the feeling life's just a really long joke you didn't hear the setup for? That was me. A Tuesday. Always is. Nothing dramatic ever happens on a Tuesday until it does. I just gotten home from work. Long day. My job's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and doesn't send me to bed ashamed of who I am. That's more than I can say for a lot of people. I'm a systems guy. Logistics. My name's Nate. And for the past 7 years, I've been married to a woman who made me believe I won the lottery without even buying a ticket. Her name's Eliza. And Eliza was something. You know the type. Walks into a room, and the thermostat goes up. Laughs like she invented the concept. Wore red lipstick like it was war paint. And for a while, a long while, she made me feel like I was the most interesting man alive. Now, I'm no romantic. I don't read poetry by candlelight or whisper sweet nothings over jazz records. But I believe in showing up. In steadiness. In waking up every day and choosing the same person because you promised to. And because they're worth it. So that night, when I got home, I expected the usual, a tired smile, a kiss on the cheek, maybe some half-eaten takeout on the counter. But instead, the apartment was silent. Dim, like someone had unplugged the atmosphere. The only sound? Music. Distant bass lines thudding from behind the bathroom door. Eliza's playlist, that moody, late-night jazz she said made her feel alive. I called out. No answer. Walked past the kitchen, 2 wine glasses in the sink. One with lipstick. The other without. Curious. Now, I'm not a suspicious man. But I'm not a stupid one either. My gut stirred. I walked to the bathroom. Knocked. Eliza. No response. Just the clatter of water and a spray of perfume in the air. But the door wasn't locked. She opened it before I touched the handle, towel wrapped too perfectly around her, like she'd rehearsed the look. Her smile was soft, lazy, like she just woke from a nap on silk sheets. Hey, babe. Didn't hear you come in. There was a slight pause. Just long enough to register. You all right? I asked. Yeah. Just needed a long shower. Work was awful. She kissed my cheek, quick, dry, then brushed past. I stood there. Something was off. I didn't know it yet. But that moment, that was the first crack in the foundation. See, the funny thing about betrayal is how it doesn't show up wearing devil horns. It walks in like your wife, smells like her perfume, and kisses you like she's still yours. But I wasn't hers anymore. Not really. Not for a while. And I was about to find out just how far gone she really was. The next morning, Eliza was already gone by the time I got up. No note. No text. Just the lingering scent of that overpriced perfume she used to save for special occasions, now apparently part of her Tuesday routine. I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee, watching it steam like it was trying to whisper something. 2 wine glasses in the sink. One with lipstick. One without. It wasn't proof, but it was enough to start a quiet war in my chest. I didn't ask her about it. Not yet. I believe in letting the truth come to you. You don't dig through the dirt hoping to strike gold. You wait for the tremors. And they were coming. That week was strange. She laughed more, but never at anything I said. Dressed nicer, but not for me. Came home late and blamed it on traffic in a city where no one drives. It was like living with a stranger who knew all your secrets. By Friday, I had a plan. Not the jealous, overbearing husband move, no. I just decided to show up to her work. Bring her lunch. A kind gesture. Innocent enough. But the look on her face when I walked in? She froze. Not like she was surprised. Like she'd seen a ghost. And behind her, standing near her desk, was a guy in a black t-shirt, smug posture, easy smile, that overgelled hair that tries to say confident, but ends up screaming emotional liability. He was laughing at something she said. Their eyes met for half a second, and in that second, everything clicked. Her smile was forced. His smirk wasn't. Eliza, I said, setting the lunch bag down. Brought you something. Oh, well, thanks. Her eyes darted to him. Nate, this is Tyler. He works here. Tyler didn't offer a handshake. He offered a nod. The kind that says, I know something you don't. I wanted to say something clever. Instead, I just smiled. Because the difference between a man who's been hurt and a man who's preparing to use that hurt is subtle, but deadly. When I left that office, I didn't feel betrayed. I felt focused. Because now I had a name. And soon, I'd have a story. Saturday night. I wasn't snooping. Let's make that clear. Snooping is what insecure people do when they don't trust themselves. What I did was research. Strategic, surgical research. I wasn't looking to get mad. I was looking to get clarity. Eliza's phone? left on the kitchen counter while she showered again. Funny how water always seems to be running when the truth is unraveling. I never touched her phone before, never needed to. But that night, it buzzed. And buzzed again. I glanced. Tyler. Tyler, last night was wild. That dress? Fire. Tyler, wish you didn't have to sneak out so fast. Tyler, he still doesn't know, right? I didn't feel my heart break. I felt it lock. Like a vault. Sealed tight and cold. I opened the messages. They went back months. Pictures. Plans. Audio notes with his gravel voice saying things like, "You're electric, Eliza. You make life feel real again." Then came the kicker. A message from her. "Eliza, life with Nate is safe, comfortable, routine. I need something that makes my blood move." Routine. The word every man dreads hearing from the woman he built a world for. It wasn't rage. Not yet. It was worse. That calm detachment surgeons have before slicing flesh. I put the phone back down. Quiet. Controlled. Then I walked into the bedroom, packed a bag. Just the essentials, clothes, wallet, charger, dignity. She stepped out of the bathroom moments later, toweling her hair. "Going somewhere?" she asked, all casual, like I was just off to buy milk. I nodded. "Yeah." She laughed. "Without telling me?" I zipped the bag. "You wanted adventure, right?" She paused. "Nate." I left the bag by the door and walked to the kitchen, grabbed a sticky note. Wrote one line in my neatest handwriting. "Now it will be bright, but without light, water, an apartment, and worries. Have fun." Left it on the fridge, right next to her favorite bottle of wine she swore was only for anniversaries. Then I walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't yell. Because when you leave someone who wanted chaos, you do it with silence. And you let the echo do the talking. When I left that apartment, I didn't look back. Not out of pride. Pride's a luxury. No, it was something deeper. Something colder. A kind of resignation wrapped in clarity. This wasn't a breakup. This was a clean severance. A surgical removal of rot. I checked into a cheap, quiet extended stay hotel on the edge of the city. 4 walls, 1 lamp, and 0 memories. That was all I needed. For 3 days, I didn't sleep much. Didn't eat much either. I just sat in the dark with a notepad, the kind detectives use in movies, scribbling down pieces of a life I was supposed to still be living. Not regrets. Just facts. Clues. Missteps. I cataloged everything I missed. The sudden perfume changes. The overtime that never reflected on her pay stubs. The girls' nights where no girls ever tagged her online. A smarter man might have noticed sooner. A bitter man would have blamed himself. I didn't do either. Because I finally understood what happened. Eliza didn't fall in love with Tyler. She fell out of effort with me. There's a difference. See, the kind of betrayal that sticks with you the most isn't the screaming kind. It's the kind that sneaks in wearing silk and smiles. The kind that whispers, "You're not exciting enough." That kind of betrayal doesn't punch you in the face. It slowly presses down on your chest until one day, you stop breathing and call it marriage. On the 4th day, my phone buzzed. A message from her. "Eliza, so this is how you handle problems? Walking away?" I stared at it. Smiled. Took a sip of bitter hotel coffee and sent nothing back. Another one came 10 minutes later. "Eliza, you're acting like a child. You didn't even try to fight for us." I laughed, the kind of laugh that never makes it to your throat. I didn't try? I fought every day for a woman who stopped showing up to the battlefield 6 months ago. I was the fight. The 3rd message hit differently. "Eliza, I told Tyler I needed space. Are you happy?" Now, that one almost got a reply. But I still said nothing. Because here's the thing about people like Eliza. They want the thrill and the fallback. They want the rush of someone new, but the comfort of someone old still orbiting quietly in case the new guy starts saying no. She wasn't sorry. She was exposed. And people only feel regret when the lights come on and they realize who they were dancing with in the dark. The next week passed like a fever dream. By day, I worked remotely from the hotel, letting spreadsheets keep my brain from wandering. At night, I walked. Just walked. Downtown, around lakes, through old neighborhoods filled with porch lights and laughter. I watched normal couples doing normal things, sharing fries, bickering over directions, holding hands like it still meant something. It didn't hurt me. It just reminded me of what Eliza gave away. Not what I lost, but what she threw out, thinking she'd traded up. That's the kind of delusion you don't argue with. You just let the world correct it in time. It was around this point I started doing something I hadn't done in years, journaling. I didn't write poetry or pour my soul into metaphor. Just simple truths. Stuff like, she doesn't deserve anger. She deserves absence. Don't retaliate with words. Retaliate with success. Give her what she wanted. Silence. Let her choke on it. Now here's where things start getting interesting. One night, while clearing out old emails, the digital equivalent of burning photographs, I stumbled across a shared cloud folder. Anniversary planning. We'd started it back when we still thought 10 years was a finish line worth celebrating. Curious, I clicked. Photos. Messages. Screenshots of gifts we never bought. A half-written vow renewal speech I drafted a year ago but never showed her. But right beneath that? A hidden folder. Private, not password protected. Just buried. I opened it. Inside were photos. Dozens. Of her and Tyler. Restaurants I'd never been invited to. Hotel rooms with windows I didn't recognize. Selfies that didn't belong in a marriage. And voice notes. I should have stopped there. I didn't. I clicked one. Her voice. Soft, playful, cruel. Nate's sweet. Predictable. He does everything right. But it's like kissing a spreadsheet. Another note. Tyler, if this blows up, just know. I don't regret a thing. He needed a wake-up call anyway. A wake-up call. Right. That night, I didn't sleep. I planned. Because you don't get to drop a man like that and expect him to vanish quietly into the fog. I wasn't raised to be a doormat. I was raised to keep receipts. And now I had a folder full of them. By the end of the week, I consulted a lawyer. Not for a messy divorce. That was already happening. No, this was something else. Something colder. I started untangling myself from every financial connection we had. Quietly. Legally. Precisely. I moved our joint savings to an account under my name, one she never had the password to. I froze the credit cards. Canceled the utilities I paid. Not out of revenge. Out of principle. She said she wanted freedom? Perfect. Let's see how free she feels when the electricity doesn't know her name. When the water stops running. When the lease company calls and says, sorry, we never got the last payment. You see, Eliza was right about one thing. I was predictable. But what she forgot is that men like me only look safe. We're not boring. We're calculating. And when we finally move, we don't scream. We erase. Eliza thought I left. And technically, I did. She came home to an empty apartment, found the note on the fridge poetic, a little cryptic, but enough to sting. No water, no power, no Nate. Her world didn't collapse that day, not all at once. Women like Eliza don't fall apart immediately. No, they unravel, thread by golden thread, thinking they can stitch it back up before anyone notices. But I didn't vanish. I just changed frequency. You see, I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I had no interest in playing the sad ex-husband archetype. The guy who wanders into bars telling strangers about what she did. No, my story wasn't going to end with me broken and her reborn. If she wanted a lesson, I'd give her one. A masterclass in quiet consequences. First, I took back the car. Technically, it was mine. Titled and registered under my name. Gifted to her last year because her old one didn't match her energy anymore. The same energy, apparently, that now danced in clubs and rode passenger seat in Tyler's Corolla. She parked it in the lot behind her building like she always did, same spot, same angle. Routine is ironic that way. One evening, while she was inside, probably sipping something pink and pretending her world hadn't cracked, I pulled in, used the spare key, and drove off without a sound. She called 3 times the next morning, then texted, Eliza, did you seriously take the car? I didn't reply. She sent another. Eliza, you're being vindictive. I saved that one. Framed it in my mind. Vindictive would be keying her laptop or trashing the place. What I was doing. This was restoration. I was reclaiming the things I built while she built a fantasy with a bartender who smelled like cologne samples and unpaid parking tickets. Tyler, I hadn't forgotten about him either. He wasn't the target, just the accessory. But even accessories get returned eventually. I started showing up to the bar where he worked. Not every night, just enough to unsettle the universe. I'd order water, sit at the far end of the counter, and tip the servers more than the price of my drink. I wore the same expression every time, neutral, unreadable. Tyler would glance at me, then look away, like a guy who just realized the movie villain's been watching the whole time. On the 4th visit, I left a note with my tip. She said I was boring. She also said that to her first husband. You should ask him how that worked out. I didn't sign it. He knew. Meanwhile, Eliza's world began developing hairline cracks. No power meant no lights. No hot showers. No working fridge. And the rent? That was always under my name. She'd never even seen the payment portal. I gave her the gift of her own independence. All those things she used to hate me handling, now hers to figure out. She called the landlord. He called me. I explained calmly that I had vacated the property and would not be renewing the lease. My name was being removed, effective immediately. He was a little confused. She was furious. Eliza, are you seriously trying to make me homeless? I finally responded. Me. No. I'm giving you what you said you wanted. Freedom. Adventure. No more routine. Just you and the real world. Her reply came an hour later. Eliza, you're cruel. No, Eliza. I was cruelly patient. See, when a man spends years learning every detail of your life, your schedule, your passwords, your habits, and you burn that down for a stranger who brings you lemon drops and compliments, that man doesn't snap. He strategizes. 2 weeks passed. Eliza tried to rally. I watched from a distance, a ghost with a clipboard. She moved in with a friend for a while. Posted some vague taking time for myself Instagram stories. Tried to act like she hadn't just been outmaneuvered by the man she thought was made of routines and dad jokes. Meanwhile, I started doing something I hadn't done in years, living. I booked a trip. Just me. A remote cabin up north. No Wi-Fi. Just snow, firewood, and books I never had time for when I was busy making sure Eliza had oat milk and lavender candles. I hiked. I slept. I healed in inches, not miles. And each time I looked at my phone, I saw her name in the recent calls, unanswered, untouched. Then came the message I was waiting for. Eliza, I made a mistake. It was simple. Raw. Honest. Maybe. Maybe not. Didn't matter. Because the one thing cheaters always misunderstand is this. Forgiveness isn't just about them. It's about you. And I didn't need to forgive her to move on. I needed to remember who I was before she convinced me I wasn't enough. So I typed one final message. Took my time with it. Me. You didn't make a mistake, Eliza. You made a choice. And now, so have I. Then I blocked her. No anger. No threats. Just a quiet ending to a very loud lie. That night, I sat by the fire, wrapped in a blanket of silence. I didn't toast to revenge. I toasted to resurrection. Because while she searched for something wild, I found something better. Peace. I came back from the cabin clearer than I'd been in years. No ghosts. No voices. Just calm. Eliza tried to reach me through other people, mutual friends, her mother, even her trainer, who somehow thought she's really hurting was an acceptable opening line. I told them the same thing I told my attorney. She's a stranger now. And I don't take calls from strangers. But Tyler? He wasn't doing so hot. Word got around. A bar back I knew said he'd started showing up late, drinking more than he served. Apparently Eliza had moved in with him temporarily, then left a week later to find herself. Guess the bartender got a taste of what routine really looks like. People like her crave adrenaline, but they forget life isn't one big music video. Eventually, someone's gotta do the dishes. I filed the divorce papers without ceremony. No big confrontation. No drawn-out court battle. She wanted excitement? Let her be surprised by the speed of my pen. My attorney handed me a thick stack of notarized closure. Eliza's signature looked rushed, sloppy, like it was trying to sprint off the page. Maybe she thought we'd go back and forth, that I'd fight for her. But no, I wasn't here to argue anymore. I was here to finish. She messaged again the day after it finalized. Eliza, can we at least talk once before we say goodbye forever? I left her on read. Because that was her favorite game, wasn't it? Now she could play it alone. Funny things started happening after all that. I began running into people who used to call me safe. The reliable guy. The doesn't rock the boat type. Turns out, when word gets around that you handled your wife's infidelity like a chess master with steel in his veins, the narrative changes. They didn't see a boring man anymore. They saw a man who doesn't flinch. A man who walked away from the fire with the blueprint to the building. People talk. They always do. And slowly, Eliza's tale started to collapse under its own drama. I was trapped, turned into, I lost the one guy who actually showed up. Tyler quit the bar. She moved again. The world kept turning. Meanwhile, I slept better than I had in years. One night, almost a year to the day since she poured gasoline on everything we built, I received a letter. Handwritten. Envelope sealed like it mattered. I almost didn't open it. But I did. Inside, one page. No long-winded apology. No begging. Just one line. You really were the best thing I ever had. I just didn't know how to keep you. There was no return address. Just her name, looped in cursive that used to be on every birthday card I cherished. I folded it once, set it in a drawer, and poured myself a drink. Not to forget her. To remember me. Revenge is overrated. People think it's fire and fury. But real revenge? It's rebuilding. It's walking past the ashes with your head held high, not needing to explain the burn marks on your back. It's building something better and making sure they hear about it, but never get invited in. I didn't ruin her life. I let her ruin it herself. I just made sure the lights were off when she got home. These days, I live in a different place. New walls. New air. Sometimes I still hear echoes of her laughter, not because I miss it, but because ghosts don't leave until you stop feeding them. But I don't feed ghosts anymore. I feed growth. I water peace. And I keep the door locked. Not to keep anyone out, but to protect the man I had to burn everything down to become.